Are you ready to take a trip back in time to the wild, wild west of Mexico? Buckle up, because we're diving into the rise of the Juarez Cartel. These guys were like the Tony Sopranos of the border, except they weren't acting or Italian. Get ready for some narco drama. Welcome to the Wild West, where the drug cartels are the new sheriffs in town. And no one runs this criminal empire with more ruthless efficiency than the Juarez Cartel. These guys make the Sopranos look like the Teletubbies. But it wasn't always this way. The Juarez Cartel had humble beginnings in the 1980s, starting out as a small player in the drug trade. But through sheer determination, cunning, and a willingness to do whatever it takes, they rose to the top of the criminal food chain. At their peak, the Juarez Cartel controlled a vast network of drug trafficking routes and had a hand in all sorts of illegal enterprises. They had the backing of corrupt officials and the fear of the public. It seemed like nothing could stop them. But all empires must fall, and the Juarez Cartel was no exception. In this video, we'll explore the rise and fall of this notorious cartel, from its early days as a small-time operation to its eventual downfall at the hands of rival cartels and the Mexican government. So buckle up and join us as we take a journey through the dangerous and deadly world of the Juarez Cartel. It's sure to be a wild ride. The Juarez Cartel was founded in the 1980s by Amado Carrillo Fuentes, also known as the Lord of the Skies, for his sophisticated operation of transporting drugs by plane. At the time, the cartel was a small player in the drug trade, operating mainly in the city of Ciudad Juarez, which borders El Paso, Texas. But the Juarez Cartel was ambitious and quickly set its sights on expanding its operations. Fuentes was a savvy businessman and a master of logistics, establishing a network of smuggling routes through Central and South America, as well as the Caribbean. He also formed alliances with other cartels, such as the Tijuana and Sinaloa cartels, to expand his reach. The Juarez Cartel's early success was fueled by the explosion of the cocaine market in the United States in the 1980s. Fuentes saw an opportunity and seized it, establishing the cartel as a major player in the transportation and distribution of cocaine. But with success came conflict. The Juarez Cartel was not the only game in town, and it quickly found itself in turf wars with rival cartels. The most notable of these was the Tijuana Cartel, which was led by the Arellano Felix brothers. The two cartels engaged in a bloody and brutal conflict that lasted for years and claimed the lives of hundreds. Despite the challenges, the Juarez Cartel continued to grow and thrive, solidifying its position as one of the most powerful and feared cartels in Mexico. It was the start of a meteoric rise that would make the Juarez Cartel a household name in the world of organized crime. The 1990s and early 2000s were the golden age of the Juarez Cartel. Under the leadership of Amado Carrillo Fuentes, the cartel had become a major player in the drug trade, with a vast network of smuggling routes and a hand in all sorts of criminal enterprises. The Juarez Cartel's success was fueled by its lucrative drug trafficking operations. The cartel was heavily involved in the transportation and distribution of cocaine, as well as other drugs such as marijuana and methamphetamine. It established a network of traffickers and distributors that stretched across the United States and into Canada. But the Juarez Cartel was more than just a drug trafficking organization. It also had a hand in other criminal activities, such as money laundering, extortion, and human trafficking. The cartel was able to expand its reach by bribing and corrupting officials, as well as intimidating and threatening the public. At its peak, the Juarez Cartel was a powerful and feared force in the criminal underworld. It had a virtual monopoly on the drug trade in Ciudad Juarez and controlled much of the surrounding region. The cartel's wealth and influence was such that it was able to bribe entire police departments and even buy off politicians. The Juarez Cartel's reign of terror reached its height in the early 2000s, when the cartel engaged in a brutal campaign of violence against its rivals and the Mexican government. The cartel was responsible for hundreds of deaths, including those of innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. Despite the mounting death toll, the Juarez Cartel remained a formidable force, thanks in part to its leader, Amado Carrillo Fuentes, who was known for his ruthlessness and cunning. Fuentes was a master of evasion, using his wealth and influence to stay one step ahead of the law. But the Juarez Cartel's golden age was not to last. As we'll see in the next act, the cartel's downfall was just around the corner. The downfall of the Juarez Cartel can be traced back to 1997, when its leader, Amado Carrillo Fuentes, was finally caught and extradited to the United States. Fuentes' capture dealt a major blow to the cartel, which was already weakened by infighting and internal power struggles. With Fuentes out of the picture, the Juarez Cartel was thrown into chaos as various factions jostled for power. The resulting power vacuum was filled by a series of short-lived leaders, none of whom were able to maintain the cartel's former level of power and influence. The infighting and power struggles within the Juarez Cartel played right into the hands of its rivals, such as the Tijuana and Sinaloa cartels, which were able to gain a foothold in the cartel's former territories. This marked the beginning of the end for the Juarez Cartel. The Mexican government also played a role in the Juarez Cartel's downfall. In the early 2000s, the government launched a campaign to crack down on organized crime and target the country's most powerful cartels. The Juarez Cartel was a prime target, and the government's efforts began to bear fruit as various members of the cartel were arrested and extradited to the United States. The Juarez Cartel was further weakened by the U.S. government's involvement in the war on drugs. The United States provided funding and training to the Mexican government to help in its efforts to take down the cartel, as well as extraditing key members of the cartel to face charges in the United States. The combination of internal strife, rival cartels, and government crackdowns proved to be too much for the Juarez Cartel to handle. By the early 2010s, the cartel had all but disintegrated, and its once mighty empire lay in ruins. The fall of the Juarez Cartel marked the end of an era in the world of organized crime in Mexico. But as we'll see in the conclusion, the war on drugs rages on, and the fight against cartels and organized crime is an ongoing battle. The rise and fall of the Juarez Cartel is a tale of ambition, greed, and violence. From its humble beginnings in the 1980s, the cartel rose to become one of the most powerful and feared criminal organizations in the world, with a vast network of drug trafficking routes and a hand in all sorts of criminal enterprises. But the Juarez Cartel's reign of terror came to an end in the early 2010s, thanks to a combination of internal strife, rival cartels, and government crackdowns. The cartel's downfall marked the end of an era in the world of organized crime in Mexico and served as a reminder of the ongoing fight against the illegal drug trade. But the story of the Juarez Cartel is far from over. The war on drugs rages on, and the fight against cartels and organized crime is an ongoing battle. The Juarez Cartel may have fallen, but there are still many other criminal organizations vying for power and control in the world of organized crime. As we've seen, the rise and fall of the Juarez Cartel is a cautionary tale of what can happen when greed and corruption take hold. It's a reminder of the dangers of the illegal drug trade and the importance of efforts to combat it. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the dangerous and deadly world of the Juarez Cartel. We hope you enjoyed learning about the rise and fall of this notorious criminal organization. Stay tuned for more fascinating stories about the world of organized crime and the ongoing fight against the illegal drug trade.